Welcome everybody, it's Telm, and in this video I'm going to be reading you guys things straight out of the Kronorium, but not exactly. It's kind of like these excerpts, so somebody just pretty much took notes of the Kronorium, and this is what they wrote down. But it's kind of interesting, we don't know exactly who wrote these, but we're going to talk about that a little bit in a second. But I'm going to read you guys them off. There's going to be 3 in total. I'll talk a little bit between them just about what they are talking about. Let me start you guys off with the first one. So all of them are going to start Kronorium and excerpt, then their number. But they're going to have this very interesting number. So the first one says excerpt 6.5 billion. Of course, there's other numbers, but the main thing, that's 6.5 billion. If they are keeping track of their excerpts, like starting from 1 to get wherever they are, 6 billion, that's going to take you years to do. Insanely amount of years. Oh my gosh, 6 billion. Even if you're writing each excerpt within 1 second, that's still going to take you at the very least, maybe 90 years to write. So this is why I originally thought it was Richtofen that was one that was writing these down, because he is the only one that we know that's touched the Kronorium or even read it or anything like that. But for some reason, he is keeping track of them in a weird way. So it might be Richtofen and he could just somehow escape time, or that he's just keeping track of these in a different way. But either way, we're not exactly sure who it is at this point in time. But either way, these are from a cipher, you guys are wondering. These are actually deciphered ciphers. But let's actually get into the actual cipher. Once the Great War ended with the defeat of the Apothicons, the Keepers ascended to become the wards of all the universes. The surviving Apothicons were casted out, banished to the dark ether beneath creation. After eons of exile in the dark ether, the Apothicons evolved into twisted creatures that now bear little resemblance to their keeper brethren. The Apothicons carelessly desire to return to creation, to consume and corrupt all the universes. It is the keepers that guard against these perpetual attempts to re-enter creation, and guard against the beings that may have fallen under the influence of the Apothicons. So this is really interesting, and one thing I want to point out right at the start, it says, once the Great War ended with the defeat of the Apothicon, but pay attention, the Great War. But where else have we heard a mention of the Great War? How about try Origin's opening cutscene? Remember Samantha's talking and she says, on the battlefields of the Great War? At the time we assumed she was talking about World War I, because obviously either of these could work, because the reason I think maybe that's the same exact place they were fighting the Great War at is because we see Templar zombies, and it would make sense how they would be there, because this Great War that happened in the past, also the Templars were a part of, so maybe this is the battlefield of it. It's just a cool idea I thought up in my head just a while ago. Also, we hear that the Keepers became the wards of all the universes, so they seem pretty powerful people. Also, the Apothicons were banished into this thing called the Dark Ether, and it's beneath creation, so I'm not too sure what to think about this, because if you guys watch my other video, mainly about the Dark Ether, it's kind of weird. Maybe are they introducing there's multiple ethers, or maybe this is the only ether, but they're just trying to make you think it's like a bad place, obviously. But I'm not too sure what exactly to think of it, because we always thought the ether is a place of power where you can actually gain power from it, but I'm not too sure at this point. It could mean we have multiple ethers now, or that there's only one ether and it's bad. So I'm not too sure. Go ahead and tell me what you guys think about that down in the comments. And also, in my other video, I mentioned that the Apothicons, we actually found out they were actually keepers at one point, but they were influenced by the Dark Ether. So maybe the Dark Ether is a thing that's alive in itself, but they fell under the influence of the Dark Ether, and then they got banished to the Dark Ether by the other normal keepers, and they now evolved into these twisted creatures that now bear little resemblance to their keeper brethren. Which explains why, because we were confused when we just saw that first cipher and we were all like, but they look nothing alike, how can they be the same? But this kind of explains exactly where it's from. So that's about it for that one. So let's get on to the next one. Kronorium excerpt 3 billion, a bunch of other numbers after that. But anyways, the summoning key is one of the oldest artifacts in creation. It was used by the first one to mix all dimensions with life, giving each its unique balance. Under certain circumstances, it had the ability to form bridges between dimensions, allowing the transfer of life forces back and forth. It resides in the 63rd dimensions of creation. Now this is really interesting, because in the last cipher we were actually talking about the universes, because the keepers were the wards of all universes, but all of a sudden they're talking about dimensions. So I'm not too sure how this dimensions universe thing is working. Maybe there's the multiverse inside one dimension, and then there's a dimension that leads into another multiverse type of deal thing. I'm not too sure how this works exactly, but go ahead and tell me what you guys think about that they're mentioning dimensions and universes. And we also hear some like origins to the summoning key. It's all actually one of the oldest artifacts in all creation, so it sounds like there's other artifacts that may also be powerful, but it just seems like this one's just one of the many oldest. Of course, we're sure that the summoning key is the strongest one because that's what the Shadow Man said. Of course, I'm not too sure how much we would trust the Shadow Man, but either way, let's move on to the next part, which is very interesting. It was really weird because it said it was used by the first one to mix all the dimensions with giving them each life, well, something like that. Either way, who is this first one? It says by the first one. Who the heck is that? I don't know. I can't think of anybody that can possibly be. It's just the first one. I don't know, Monty. I don't know. I just have no idea at this point who this first one could be. It's just, you could say Monty, but what evidence do you have for that? It just makes no sense at this point, and we don't know anything about this first one. Also, besides that, it just explains a little bit of the abilities from the summoning key. Of course, we know it has much more. We've seen some ourselves, and also we see it resides inside the 63rd dimensions of creation. And also, its dimensions pluralized, which is weird. I forgot to mention that originally, but these are all pluralized, these dimensions. I have no idea why. I'm just really confused about this right now. Either way, the 63rd dimension of creation, I'm pretty sure this is going to be Shadows of Evil, because this is from the Kronorium, and that's where Richtofen got the summoning key from. Of course, it's probably not in the 63rd dimensions of creation anymore, obviously, because he took it. But I don't know, tell me what you guys think about this Kronorium thing right here, but whatever. Now for the last one. This one is very short compared to the other one. So Kronorium excerpt 2 billion.7, bunch of other numbers. The life force from the dead world allows the bearer to flow with all creation. This one again, I don't like these things. They don't explain that much at all. So one thing I found really weird is that it allows the bearer to flow with all creation. So who is this bearer? It's another thing that we can just say, oh, maybe Monty. I don't know. I just don't like things like this. We have no idea who this could possibly be right now. It's just very interesting how they just randomly say these people that we have nothing to put to them. We just have the bearer, or just like in the last one, the first one. I'm not a fan of that actually, but we have more interesting characters. Maybe they're going to be both Monty, maybe neither of them are going to be Monty. I'm not too sure what this last one's about. Of course, if you guys have any ideas for any of these ciphers, go ahead and tell me down in the comments. But if you guys did enjoy this and found it informative and helpful, go ahead and thumbs up. If you guys want to stay tuned for more storyline from Gorod Krovi, Easter eggs, tutorials, or anything like that, go ahead and subscribe. But I'm going to go, and I will catch you guys on my next video.